pretty much halfway through the college basketball season and about 5 months out from the 2024 NBA draft, and I did my top 30 prospect ranking before the NCAA season started, so today I'm going to be updating that. I'm going to be ranking my top 30 prospects for the NBA draft, and you'll also see in the top corner what they were preseason and what has changed. So if you guys do enjoy the draft content, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, and let me know what you agree with or disagree with in the comments below. Alright, so we're going to start things off with a notable prospect in Bronny James. Now, I don't know if Bronny is going to declare for the NBA draft this year. In my opinion, he should stay another year at USC, build up his draft pedigree, get more reps as a top option on that squad. Obviously, he wasn't playing to start the year, and he has been inefficient at time for the Trojan, and he's shooting 36% from the field and 25% from three. I do think he could be a good defender, though, at the NBA level, and that's why I have him at number 30. He probably would go in the first round if he were to declare, because if that's true that LeBron would play with his son, any team's probably going to want to take the chance on that. I do think that Bronny should stay another year at USC, but if he does declare, I would take him at number 30. I think he could be a good playmaker and a good defender at the next level, but he definitely needs to work on that jump. All right, next up at 29, we got PJ Hall from Clemson. I originally did not have PJ Hall in my last top 30 ranking video, and this dude has just been killing it for the Tigers this year. He's a senior that's averaging 20 points per game. He's shooting 51% from the field, 34% from three, 87% from the line, and is also averaging 7 rebounds and over a steal and blocking. I didn't think that he was going to look this solid on the defensive side of the floor this year. He was definitely on my radar after his junior year because it was pretty solid the last 2 years for Clemson. And this is a draft where upperclassmen are probably going to be a very common draft selection in the back half of the first round because they definitely have high floors, but definitely lower ceiling. All right, coming in at number 28, he's one of my favorite prospects, and I feel like a lot of outlets probably don't even have him in their top 30. He may stay another year at UConn, but if he does declare, I have Alex Caravan as my 28th player in this class. Caravan is a sharpshooter. The dude is shooting 53% from the field this year for the Huskies, 40% from three, and 88% from the line, and this is on the #1 team in the country at the moment I'm recording this video. He was redshirted as a freshman, so this is his 3rd year at UConn, but his 2nd eligible playing year, so he's technically a sophomore, but he's going to be a little bit older. He'll be 21 on draft night, but that's not anything too crazy nowadays. Obviously, you'd like his defense to be a little bit better, but this dude is a flat-out shooter, and he's 6'8", 210 too. You could put him at the power forward spot. That would be valuable. I would take him in the first round. Next up at 27, we have somebody I definitely had a lot higher in my previous ranking, and that is Tyrese Proctor. Proctor's had a solid year for Duke, don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit lower on his ceiling as a combo guard, which I think he could have excelled at the next level. He's a solid passer, but I don't know if it's going to translate to the NBA level, and is he going to be more of a 1 or a 2? But I would still 100% take him in the first round. He's a good 3-point shooter, and he doesn't turn the ball over. So you know what? If you can hit threes and don't turn the ball over, I would take that in the first round. So next up at 27, we have somebody from the G League Ignite, the first player mentioned not playing college basketball in this video, and it's Ethan Almanza. Ethan Almanza is going to just turn 19 pretty much when he gets drafted, and I think you're drafting him for pretty much one specific skill set. As a pick and roll player who has a nice floater and a good touch around the rim, but is also somebody that is going to be a bruiser, pretty physical, and a strong inside presence on the defensive side of the. He's never really going to develop a jump shot, in my opinion. He's not going to do a great job creating his shot. He's a fine passer for a big man, but you know what? If you want somebody that can be efficient inside, be a good pick and roll partner, and play good defense, that would be Almanza for you in this draft. Coming in at number 25, we have Trey Alexander from Creighton. This dude is currently on a tear right now, posting 23 points against Seton Hall, 27 points against Xavier, and 23 points against DePaul, all in conference play. This dude has been on a roll. He's averaging 17 points, 6 rebounds, and almost 5 assists a night, shooting 45% from the field and 30% from three, as well as 80% from the line. Obviously, you'd like that efficiency to be a little bit better, but I think he's going to be a good combo guard, but has good size as well to play up, that he could play either the 1, the 2, or the 3. So I think that positional versatility, he could play make, he could score, is going to be very valuable. All right, coming in at number 24, we're going to have the player with probably the most discourse, the most debate, and probably the widest variance in this draft when it comes to any analyst or draft outlet, and that's going to be Zach Edey from Purdue. Edey's already won the Naismith Award and the Wooden Award, which pretty much is given to the best collegiate basketball player that season. He is a senior currently at Purdue. He's going to be 22 years old on draft night. He's averaging 23 points and 11 rebounds a night and shooting 63% from the field. Also giving the Boilermakers 2.5 blocks a night and is fouling people less than 2 times a night. But yeah, there's a lot of debate for Edey as a prospect. While he's very talented inside the paint, he's a very good scorer inside. It's going to be a lot tougher to do what he's doing right now at the next level when he's going up against guys that are stronger than him, taller than him even, and a whole lot quicker than him. So I think Edey is definitely a first-round prospect, and I would take him in the first round, but I really wouldn't take him to be your franchise center. You're not taking him to be that next guy at the 5 spot for the next 5 to 10 years. He's probably more of a rotational big that could be a nice offensive piece off the bench, because I don't love his footwork, and him having a subpar lateral quickness I think will hurt him when he's in the NBA, but I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on him in the comments below. So next up, we have Bobby Klintman, that's currently playing in the National Basketball League right now. Klintman played at Wake Forest last year and was supposed to be in the 2023 draft, but he withdrew his name and ended up playing basketball overseas. He's averaging around 10.5 points, 5 rebounds, and over a steal a night. He's been a solid 3-point shooter as well, shooting 34%. And somebody with his length and versatility, he's 6'10", 225, is definitely going to catch a lot of scouts' eyes for the potential he has as a potential stretch 4 when he makes it to the NBA. Coming in at 22, we have the first of many Kentucky Wildcats. We got DJ Wagner. I do think that Wagner is getting overshadowed by his Kentucky counterparts this year. Some of them are probably going to go in the top 10 in this draft, but Wagner has been a solid point guard for somebody that's still just 18 years old. He's averaging 12 points and 4 assists in a system where he's not getting the ball a ton because there's a lot of mouths to feed over there. And his efficiency could be a little bit better, and that's probably what's docking him, in my opinion, and I would have him higher if his 3-point shot and his free throw shot were falling a little bit more. All right, next up, we got Jared McCain from Duke. So McCain is joining Tyrese Proctor as the second Duke Blue Devil mentioned here, and he's not going to be the last. McCain is a point guard. He's averaging under 2 assists a night. I think he's going to be more of a 2 when he's in the NBA, because he's shooting 46% from the field and 42% from 3 and 85% from the line. This guy is as efficient as you can get, but I don't think he's going to be much of a playmaker or a floor general. He's somebody that's going to play better off ball as a spot up shooter, and he's borderline a top 20 prospect for me right now. Next up here at number 20, we have the second G League Ignite player mentioned. That's going to be Tyler Smith. Smith has a little bit more size and physicality to him than Almanza, and definitely has more versatility on the offensive side of the ball. Smith is shooting 46% from the field, but 36% from 3 for somebody that's a 6'11 big man, and he's also a solid defender as well, currently averaging a block and steal a night, and he's somebody that you could put at the 3, the 4, or the 5 on the defensive side of the ball. Next up at number 19, we have one of my favorite prospects in this draft. It's another senior, and it's Dalton Knecht. Knecht has a really cool story. So his first 2 years playing college basketball, he played at Northeastern junior college, and then played his junior year and his first senior year for Northern Colorado. He was able to get another year of eligibility from the COVID year. So he's basically a super senior right now for the Volunteers, but this dude is just a flat out bucket. He's averaging 19.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and is shooting 49% from the field, 40% from 3, and 80% from the line. But you know what? He actually has really good athleticism as well, and he's somebody that can definitely match up with players at the next level. I think he has a super low floor. He's a super safe prospect to select. You just got to stomach drafting a 23-year-old on draft night. Coming here at 18, we have Yves Missi from Baylor. Missi kind of came onto the scene a little bit late going into the preseason. I really didn't know much about him until he started playing for the Baylor Bears. I've seen a lot of people compare him to Clint Capella, similar style of play. And he's going to be a physical big man that just rolls extremely well. He's going to catch lobs, and he's going to be a really good shot blocker. I definitely like Derek Lively a little bit more as a prospect when he came out of Duke last year, but I think Missi's kind of similar. Coming in at 17, we have Kevin McCullough from Kansas. McCullough, like Knecht, is a super senior. He spent 3 years at Texas Tech, stayed in the Big 12, and has spent the last 2 years at Kansas. He's currently averaging 20 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists this year for the Jayhawks. He's shooting 47% from the field, 35.5% from 3, and 82% from the line. Like I said before, this is going to be the year of the upperclassmen in the 2024 draft. Coming in at 16, we had somebody that was supposed to be a top pick last year in the 2023 draft. Really didn't play all that well at Oregon. Transferred to Indiana this year, and that's Kel'el Ware. So I like Ware more as a prospect than Missi right now. They're going to fall into that similar center bucket. Ware is currently averaging 14 points and 10 rebounds this season, shooting 54% from the field, and hey, 41% from 3 on about a half an attempt a night. So, you know, if he could space out the floor a little bit, that could really separate himself from the other prototypical rim running, screen setting big men in this draft, and that will be very valuable to Kel'el Ware's draft stock. Next up at 15, we have somebody's draft value that is kind of all over the place right now, and that's Tidjane Salaün, who's currently playing in France right now. Salaün is a 6'9" combo forward that's going to be just under 19 years old on draft night. He's currently shooting 37% from 3 in France right now, averaging around 9 points and 3 rebounds. Think of him kind of like another Bilal Koulibaly, somebody that's not really going to be wowing you on the stat sheet because it's a different style of play over there, but it's somebody that definitely has good potential at the next level, and you could see a team that could take the chance on him be a little bit more patient, select him in the lottery. Next up, we have our second UConn Husky, another big man, Donovan Clingan. I think he's going to be one of the better defensive big men out of the ones I've just mentioned. He won a championship with UConn last year and is posting 13 points and 6 rebounds and 2 blocks a night for the Huskies this year. He definitely needs to work on his lateral quickness, though, if he wants to be a for sure lottery pick. Next up at 13, we have Ryan Dunn. Now, if Ryan Dunn could knock down a 3-point shot consistently, he'd be a top 10 prospect in this draft. He's averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds for the Cavaliers this year as a 6'8" shooting guard. So yeah, this guy could play the 2, the 3, the 4, maybe even some small ball 5, because he's going to be that good on the defensive side of the floor. He's basically this year's defensive darling. He's averaging 2.3 blocks and 1.7 steals a night. And like I said before, if he could develop some type of 3-point shot and outside jumper, he'd be a for sure top 10 pick. He'd maybe even be a borderline top 5 pick, but that's just what's holding him back. He's very efficient inside. He's a good driver. He's athletic at the rim, but like I said, just really doesn't have that much of an outside jumper right now. Coming in at number 12, we have Kyle Filipowski. I really thought that he was going to enter the draft last year, but stayed another year at Duke. Honestly, smart move by him. He's going to probably get drafted a little bit higher this year since it is a weaker class, and he's been great this year for Duke. He's averaging just under 18 points a night, 9 rebounds, 3 assists a night for the 7-foot big man. He's shooting 50% from the field and 38% from 3 as well on 3.5 attempts a night, and he's averaging almost a steal and a half and 2 blocks a night. I basically have one true big man in the top 5, and outside of him, Filipowski is my next best big in this draft. It's going to be interesting to see who separates themselves from that pack of like Filipowski, Misi, Khalil Ware, Tyler Smith, Donovan Clingan. Coming in at number 11, we have Matas Buzewas, who I just have all over the place in my rankings. Like going into the year, he was a top 5 prospect for me basically, and now he's number 11. It's really just because he's been inefficient with the G League Ignite, and that's kind of been a motto of the program's history, albeit it hasn't really been going on for all that long, but we've seen guys like Jalen Green, Dyson Daniels, Jaden Hardy, Scoot Henderson struggle at times in the G League Ignite with efficiency. So I'm not going to overthink it too much. He's averaging 12 points and 6 rebounds currently for them. He's shooting 44% from the field, but 25% from 3 on 3.5 attempts a night is kind of alarming. But he's a 6'11 forward that could definitely play up in size, and hey, if he ever develops that 3-point jumper, he will be a great stretch for at the next level due to his size and his ball handling ability for somebody that's 6'11. Coming in at number 10, we have Stephon Castle from UConn, so that's the 3rd UConn member mentioned in this top 30. Mentioned Caravan before and Donovan Clingan. Castle has dealt with some injuries this year. He's averaging 10 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists a night. He's shooting 45% from the field. You might be like, Matt, whoa, those like numbers, you really have him as your number 10 prospect? Now, this is the thing we have to like just talk about with evaluating college prospects, because he's on the number 1 team in the country, UConn. They have a lot of good players like Tristan Newton, like Alex Caravan and Clingan that I mentioned before, Cam Spencer. So it's going to be tough for the school to prioritize Stephon Castle's development. They would if he's going to be there all 4 years, but no, he's probably going to be a one-and-done guy and enter the draft. But you could see the potential in him for sure as a ball handler, as a shot creator, as a facilitator. And I'm like super excited to watch him at the combine this year because that's where I think he can really put a lot of scouts on notice. I had my next prospect, my number 9 guy, so high in the last ranking. It's Isaiah Collier. So technically, he's my second USC guy I mentioned because I mentioned Bronny at 30. Collier's been up and down for a pretty disappointing USC team. He's averaging 15.5 points and 4 assists this year for the Trojans, shooting 51% from the field, 31% from 3, and 66% from the line. There's games when I watch Isaiah Collier, like most recently earlier in the month against Stanford, where I'm like, whoa, this guy could be a top 5 guy in the draft. And then there's other letdown games where I just feel like he's too passive and he's not taking enough shots, where I'm like, I don't even know if I would take him in the top 10. He's currently dealing with an injury right now, but I do think he's going to be one of the top picks in the 2024 draft. Next up at number 8 is one of the biggest risers, and it's going to be Reed Sheppard from Kentucky. So yeah, the second Kentucky player mentioned just because of how elite Sheppard is with his efficiency. He's averaging 11.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists a night for a loaded Kentucky team. Like, you have Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell, who are good collegiate players, but definitely don't have the draft pedigree that somebody like Sheppard or DJ Wagner, who I mentioned before. But Sheppard is shooting, listen to this, 54% from the field, 55% from 3, and 82% from the line. The advanced stat guys are just going to fall in love with him. And he's also a good defender as well, averaging 2.5 steals a night. I've seen people's mocks where they have him going number 1 overall. All right, next up at number 7, I had have Jacoby Walter, the second Baylor Bear mentioned. I think I'm a little bit lower on Walter than the consensus right now. Maybe it's just me having something out for Baylor guards because I was lower on Keontae George last year than everybody else. Well, that's just a weird coincidence, but George is currently averaging 15 points and 4 rebounds. He's shooting 40% from the field, 35% from 3, and 85% from the line. He's super quick with the ball in his hands. He has a great instinct on his first step. I do wonder if he's going to be an efficient scorer at the next level. I think he's going to be a fine 3-point shot, but I do worry about his 2-point shot selection. And I've seen some comparisons to Cam Thomas so far, which is a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's somebody I would take number 1 overall. Coming in at number 6, we have Ron Holland, who is my 4th and final G League Ignite player here. He was my number 1 player last time we did this. It's been an up and down Ignite season for Holland so far. Holland could have went to Texas. He withdrew from that and ended up playing with the G League Ignite. He's averaging 19 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's shooting 46% from the field, 26% from 3, and 71% from the line. It's a very similar weakness to Matas Buzelis. I just worry about the outside jumper sometimes. He's a good defender though. He's physical inside. He can score when he wants. I just wonder if like the certain fit, if he's not really surrounded by other shooters, is it really just going to be inefficient to have him out there with those guys at the same time? Okay, next up at number 5, somebody I'm probably higher on than the consensus, and it's Rob Dillingham from Kentucky. I just love watching Dillingham, man. He is so quick with the ball in his hands in the half court, in transition. He also moves phenomenally without the ball in his hands. The only knock on him is he could be a little bit undersized. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", 170. So, you know, when it comes to inside defense, he may not be the greatest, but at the point of attack, he's very active. He's very quick. He's got a good basketball IQ. He's a phenomenal 3-point shooter right now. And yeah, I would take him in the top 5. All right, coming in at number 4, we have Zachary Rissacher, currently playing in France like Salon that I mentioned before. Rissacher is just going to turn 19 years old basically around draft night. And basically, everything I mentioned about Salon, you can apply it to Rissacher, but Rissacher is definitely going to be more efficient and a little bit quicker to develop. There's also mocks out there that have Rissacher as their number 1 pick right now. He's averaging 12 points on 53% shooting and also shooting 48% from 3. He's a 6'9" forward that could definitely play up a little bit. He's got a long wingspan, and I could definitely see the potential in him to go number 1 overall. So coming in at number 3 for me is my top collegiate player in this class, and it's Cody Williams from Colorado. Williams has been generating a ton of hype as of late. He's averaging 15 points and 4 rebounds for the Buffaloes this year. He's shooting 58% from the field and 52% from 3. He's 6'8". He's the brother of OKC breakout star this year, Jalen Williams. He's fantastic at driving to the rim. He's a phenomenal cutter and slasher. I just would like for him to maybe focus on his ball handling a little bit more, and then he has better potential to go number 1 in this class, in my opinion. Coming into number 2, we have my top point guard in this class. It's Nikola Topic, who's currently playing for Red Star in Serbia right now. He is dealing with an injury, and he's going to have some outside shooting inefficiencies to start of his career, but this dude is a phenomenal playmaker. He will eventually develop a consistent outside jumper, and I think he could lead the league in assists one day. Extremely high basketball IQ, plays extremely tough, and just the absolute perfect fit with him would be in San Antonio running the point for Victor Wembanyama. And coming in at number 1 is my midseason update, is my top prospect in this draft. It is Alexander Sarr, playing in the National Basketball League. He's playing for Perth this year. He's averaging 10 points, 4.5 rebounds a night, shooting 49% from the field, averaging a block and a half as well. And yeah, maybe those stats aren't the craziest thing right now, but he's 7'1". He can handle the ball very well. He projects to be an elite rim protector, an elite shot blocker, and just overall an elite defender. And he, in my opinion, is the most sure thing in this draft class, and I would take him number 1 overall today. Maybe if I wasn't the San Antonio Spurs, then I would take Nikola Topic. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy my top 30 prospect midseason update. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below. I'm also writing a ton of prospect reports over on my Patreon. A link to that is in the description. I also brought back the Instagram as well. You can follow me on that. A link to that is in the description, as well as my Twitter, my 2K channel, my NFL podcast, and my TikTok as well. So make sure you're subscribed or following to all those links down below. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.